It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
Great moments are born from great opportunity. And that's what you have here. That's what you've earned here tonight.
Forget about the crowds, the size of the school, their fancy uniforms, and remember what got you here. If you put your effort and concentration into playing to your potential, to be the best that you can be, I don't care what the scoreboard says at the end of the game, in my book, we're going to be winners.
On this team, we tear ourselves and everyone else around us to pieces for that inch. We claw with our fingernails for that inch because we know when we add up all those inches, that's going to make the f***ing difference between winning and losing.
It's down to the wire. With Errol Marks and Speedy Petey.
Oh, Petey! Oh, Petey!
On the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
Hello, Long Island, New York. Around the country. Yes, it's all around the country. That's what we're doing here. I hope so. I hope we're doing this around the country. As you guys know, this is Down to the Wire. We are live every single Monday from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. New York Eastern time. So definitely, if you haven't listened to the show, well, this would make it a lot easier because I'm telling you what time we are live. So 6 p.m. every Monday night here at the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. You can call us at 631-965-4990 if you want to argue sports, you want to talk about other stuff. Well, it better be about sports and somewhere a backlash or attack from somebody around the country. You can do whatever the hell you want. Anyways, you can also, ladies and gentlemen, follow us on our website by going to www.worldwidesportsradio.com. And guys, if you haven't downloaded our app is very defined and beautiful for all you people to go on. I could smack you around a couple of times. If you didn't listen to me from the beginning, I will tell you again. All you have to do is go to iOS, WWSRN, or Android, Worldwide Sports Radio Network. Well, Speedy was supposed to be here, but there's a big storm here in New York. It's all the way in Connecticut as well, all on the East Coast. As everybody knows, it's hurricane season, so anything could be happening, and the bad winds and the bad rain is coming to us. So we are attacked, and over there in Speedy, what's going on, my friend?
Yeah, there was definitely huge storms. I think it got up to 25 mile an hour, the winds here.
Ooh.
It was pretty bad for sure. But hope everyone had a great holiday weekend. If you traveled, if you stayed in, whatever you did, hope you had a great holiday weekend, everybody. I certainly did. It was a little different this year, obviously, but definitely enjoyable for sure and much needed. And I know yours wasn't as good as it could have been. I'm wishing you all the best with your family as well.
Well,
Errol.
thank you. And I just want to give a shout out to my mother. My mother was rushed to the hospital on Thursday morning on Thanksgiving. Her feet blew up and they were bright red. She's still in the hospital right now getting tests done. So, yes, me and this is the first Thanksgiving without my mom since my father passed away. So, it's been a long time. We went five, almost 6 years with consistency of Thanksgiving dinners with the family. And unfortunately, my mom couldn't make it, but she's all right. She's alive and she's kicking right now. So that's a good thing moving forward. But it's been a crazy week. A lot of craziness going on this weekend. There's some conversation. By the way, before we get into the conversations that we're going to get into, especially with the NFL, and we have a very special guest joining us at 6:30. We'll be talking to Wisconsin Badgers 3-star recruit, the number one running back recruit in 2021? I think it's 2021. Loyal Crawford will be joining us at 6:30. But Speedy, I think your cameras are frozen, but that's okay. But I will say this. Speedy, you there? Speedy, you there? Did I lose Speedy? I must have lost Speedy. Speedy's going to have to get on. I don't know what's going on over there. But I will say this. When you look at the NFL and you look at what's going on with the NBA and the NHL and the MLB, it's a lot of craziness. It really is. There's a lot of craziness going on with everything that we've seen so far. And really, the argument here is not the fact It's not the fact that when you look at the NFL and the growth of the NFL, being that the COVID-19 situation has really conquered and taken over all the conversation when it comes to professional sports, and really with the NBA, with the draft, watching the virtual draft, it's not like what we see every single year with professional sports. So it has been a nasty, nasty year for that. But having the opportunity to see Obi Toppin being drafted by the New York Knicks, and then watching YouTube stories that the kid is already training right now, the undrafted kid that they brought in, Powell, the guard, he's been working out with Obi Toppin. It's some of the nice tapes, and you see the kid really, really is looking forward for the new season for the New York Knicks. So I am very excited about that. So that stuff, as a New York fan, you have to be happy about. And I don't know what happened to Speedy. He completely disappeared or something. I will get him on one way or another when we go to break. And like I said, we'll have Loyal Crawford joining us at 6:30. But I want to get into the NFL on Sunday. And I know a lot of people are going to look at me and they're going to argue their points about what they saw with the New York Giants. And I will say this, and I'm going to say it over and over again. They played the Bengals, okay? The Bengals are nothing to talk about. They don't have Joe Burrows anymore. Joe Burrows is out for the season. He might not be back until the middle of the season next year because of the torn ACL and MCL. But what you saw on Sunday is nothing that we haven't seen all season long. If you look at the second half of the season for the New York Giants, the Giants have played as good as anybody defensively in football. Now, there's a lot of deficiencies in their defense. They have no pass rush, which will cause a huge problem for the Giants if somehow they win the division and they make the playoffs. You're playing teams that have good running games, good throwing, passing games, and you're gonna be left to a one-dimensional defense, and you don't want to be looked at as a one-dimensional defense. But yesterday, the Giants showed you why they have played as well and as good as they have played all season long, really in the second half. Now, everybody knows I'm not a Giant fan. Everybody knows when I look at the Giants, there is so many deficiencies. Joe Judge has been sensational as a head coach. He's right now, if I were to vote for coach of the year, I'd put him 3 or 4 right now in the NFL. I would put Tomlin at 2, Brian Flores at number 1, and I would put Joe Judge at 3 or 4. I would definitely slip him in over there at 3 and 4. I like what John Gruden has done with the Oakland Raiders. I mean, I'm sorry, the Las Vegas Raiders until what you saw yesterday with the Atlanta Falcons and what the Atlanta Falcons did to them yesterday. But we'll get into that a little bit later. What we saw yesterday is Daniel Jones. As much as you look at his numbers, 16 for 27, 213 yards, no touchdowns, no interceptions, I really thought Daniel Jones played his best game of the season. Yes, he injured himself at the end of the third quarter, missed the fourth quarter, and we will talk about it in a little while because it just came out. The MRIs came back for the New York Giants, and it's good news for the New York Giants with Daniel Jones, but we'll get into that in just 1 second. The defense yesterday played unbelievable in the second half of the game. Yes, you're playing a backup quarterback, second, third string quarterback. That's fine. But the Giants have played sensational against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who got really, to me, they should have been run off the field yesterday with the Kansas City Chiefs. The Kansas City Chiefs left them and kept them in the game. It made absolutely no sense keeping Tom Brady into the game when they had no reason and they weren't that good. They didn't play that good yesterday. But yesterday, with the New York Giants, you saw a team play the way you expect this team to be if they're a playoff team. Now, having 4 wins and being 4-7, and they're tied in first place with the Philadelphia Eagles. If Philadelphia loses tonight, there's a very good chance. It is. The Giants could take over first place and really sayonara to the Eagles, sayonara to the Cowboys, and sayonara to the Washington football team. Wayne Gallman has been unbelievable. This is a guy that came from Clemson a couple of years ago, was drafted. I think Reese drafted him. It wasn't even Gettleman that drafted Gallman. He's been in the league for about 5 or 6 years, and he's taken over for Saquon Barkley. And I have to say, what this offensive line has done in the second half of the season, and really Joe Judge taking over the offensive line, you could see the difference in the offensive line. Thomas has played better. Hernandez has played better. This has been a very good offensive line in the second half of the season. And they have opened up holes for Wayne Gallman. And even Daniel Jones, who still ran for six carries for 19 yards. It wasn't the 60 or 70-yard games we've seen him have, but he has been good with his feet, moving inside and out of the pocket, not dropping the ball this week, looking for the open guy. He didn't have the unbelievable numbers, but Evan Ingram showed up yesterday. Six receptions for 129 yards. Sterling Shepard, 7 catches, 7 receptions for 64 yards. Golden Tate, 4 receptions for 36 yards. So they're starting to play better offensively as well. And if they can match the composure and the speed of what the defense has been doing for the last 3 or 4 games, I think the Giants could squeeze right into the playoffs. And watch out for the New York Giants, because with a hot defense and a defense that believes in themselves and they can run the ball with the offensive line, they'll be in every single game, and they can knock off a team in the first round of the playoffs. They could be the surprise team because of the defense. And what this 4-3 defense has really transitioned to has been incredible for Leonard Williams and Dexter Lawrence, who's come into the league for the last 2 years. This has been a great season to see some of the young players and some of the veteran players that didn't cut it over there in the other side of the, on the other side of the field. And I'm talking about the New York Jets, somehow becomes a superstar, or not a superstar, but a star player for the Giants that could be a Pro Bowl player this year. So it's been incredible. Logan Ryan was a great pickup. Bradbury has been a very good pickup too. They really solidified the secondary. We still haven't seen McKinney. Jabril Peppers has played better this year. So all in all, this is a team that's working on all cylinders. And I think this team could be very, very dangerous if they make the playoffs. Now, as far as the other New York team, and I know a lot of Jet fans are now, all you really could talk about right now is where are the Jets going into the draft. I mean, there's nothing else to talk about with the New York Jets. Is hopefully the Jets win the lottery or whatever, the draft, and they have the opportunity to get number 1, and it could be Trevor Lawrence. And that's what every Jet fan's dream is to get Trevor Lawrence on this team, because Sam Darnold hasn't cut it. Now, I'm one of those guys. Anybody who listens to this show, anybody that watches me on this show, I'm one of these guys that have stuck up for Sam Darnold. I am one of those guys that have said Sam Darnold just needs a team around him, some players that can open up some routes, and he can get them the ball. He's got the arm strength. He's got the ability to move inside and out of the pocket. Some games he looks unstoppable for the first quarter and then completely looks like crap for the rest of the game. Yesterday, Sam Darnold, and I'm sorry, and I blame this on Joe Douglas and Adam Gase. And I'll get into Adam Gase. And we will get into the Daniel Jones thing, too. If you think I forgot about that, I will add in what I heard with the MRI. I'm sure everybody has heard that Daniel Jones could be back as good as next Sunday. It's a partial strain in his hamstring, but it's not that bad. So that's a good sign for the New York Giants to get Daniel Jones back. But anyways, getting back into the New York Jets, I have always trusted and believed that Sam Darnold was going to be the quarterback of the future of this team. I was always the one that stuck up for Sam. But if you look at the last 3 years, every single year this guy has been injured. If it's not hurting his ankle his first year, or hurting his foot in his first year and missing 5 games, or mono early in the season, the first game of the season when they were up, I think 13 or 14-0, and then gave up the lead really because the defense completely lost C.J. Mosley in the third quarter. They were just never the same team, but that's a whole nother story. But what we saw What we're seeing right now with Sam Darnold, what we saw yesterday, is Sam Darnold has given up. Sam Darnold is not going to be the player that any of us Jet fans believed that he was going to be. I think it has a lot to do with the fact of ownership and what they did of not putting the right people, the right offensive guys in line to help him. And I'm talking about the wide receivers, the running game, and even the offensive line. They really have not done that. Joe Douglas just started to do that. So you want to blame that? Fine. We'll save everybody an argument. That you can't blame Sam Darnold for that. We can also look at the New York Jets team and the organization on misusing Sam in some of these this play calling. Because Sam is good on the run. He's more consistent when he's running and moving inside and out of the pocket and making the throws, and they're trying to make him a pocket quarterback. Russell Wilson, and you could say whatever you want, he could play the pocket, but he is not a pocket-present quarterback. He's a guy that can move inside and out of the pocket and throw on the run. That is what Sam is good at. I don't understand why they're not using him in certain plays that will benefit the New York Jets moving forward. It makes no sense. But Sam has a lot to blame for why this offense isn't moving forward. If Sam is not healthy, which I believe he's not, he should not be playing. He should not be playing. But he is. And here's another thing that really bothers me about Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold forces plays. He forces places and forces the ball in places that nobody is going to get to. Not Perriman, not Mims, not Jamison Crowder, not any one of these guys. They're just not you're forcing balls in places and spots, even against Miami yesterday. How many times did we see Sam force the ball in spots that you shouldn't force the ball in double coverage? And that's why Howard had 2 interceptions. This has been a problem for the New York Jets team and this organization. It is not leadership when you see a young kid go out there. He's still the 3rd or 4th youngest quarterback in the NFL, and he's still the youngest rookie to ever come out of the draft, and look like he's deer in the headlights. He doesn't know what he's doing. He's forcing throws. He's pushing the ball down the field as much as he is because Adam Gase is trying to prove that his offense fits Sam Darnold's talents, which is ridiculous. And Denzel Mims should have caught the ball, and we'll get into that in just 1 second. But the reason why the Jets are going to be picking at number 1 this year is not all on Sam Darnold. It isn't. And anybody that blames Sam Darnold for all of this, they don't know what they're talking about, and they're completely lost. All the Jet fans that are trying to compare Sam Darnold to Geno Smith, which is a joke, an absolute joke. Yes, Geno Smith so far has had a better career than Sam Darnold, but Sam Darnold hasn't played a full season. And Geno Smith got knocked out by his linebacker. Did Sam get knocked out by his linebacker? So I don't want to even get into Geno Smith. Geno Smith is nothing. You cannot compare Geno Smith to Sam Darnold.
So my apologies to all the listeners out there. We actually had a power flicker over here, so I was out of the meeting for a minute, and now I'm back. Yes, you're absolutely right. There's no way Geno Smith can ever be brought up with the same breath as Sam Darnold. He had one nice year his rookie year. That was it.
But hold on 1 second, Speedy, because I'm not done.
Okay.
What we saw yesterday was Sam Darnold giving up on the season. He gave up on the season. The season is over for the Jets. And if you know that, why is he on the field? Joe Flacco right now fits this offense better than Sam Darnold. And you guys are going to think I'm crazy, but it's true. Joe Flacco fits this offense better than Sam does. You know why? Because this offense, the way they're playing, is for a pocket-present quarterback that can push the ball down the field. Sam Darnold is not that type of quarterback. Sam Darnold can make every single throw. He doesn't have the arm strength of a Joe Flacco, but he can make the throws, but he's not as accurate in the deep threat throws. You saw what he did with Perriman for the 2 or 3 weeks that he's played. He's thrown the ball down the field, and Perriman and Mims went after it. Sam doesn't do that. That's not Sam's strength. And if you know that that's not the way you want to play offense, why is Sam starting when he's not 100% healthy? It is his throwing arm that is hurt. It doesn't make any sense. Joe Douglas, you could say whatever you want, and I love Joe Douglas. I think he's going to be a great great GM in this league. He's had a very good draft in his first year. What really bothers me and what I've seen so far with Joe Douglas, he doesn't know how to handle some of his players. Sam Darnold should not be on the field. Sam Darnold should not be playing in a game when you know he's not 100% healthy. Why? Because you're trying to save Adam Gase's thought that he's going to keep his job at the end of the season? He's not. We all know it. He's gone. When you hear Adam Schefter coming out and saying that they're already searching college teams and college coaches, that should tell you that Adam Gase is not keeping his job. But what you're seeing right now with this New York Jet team is you're seeing some positives. Here's the positives. Quinn Williams yesterday looked like a man-child. Quinn Williams looked like what we expect him to be as a turbulent, crazy man down the middle for the Jets for the next 7 to 8 years. That's what we saw. For the fact that anybody thought that the Jets should have traded Quinn Williams at the trade deadline, you're a bunch of morons. Morons. What you saw yesterday was Quinn Williams dominate. Marcus May was all over the place. That defense kept the Jets in the game, even though it doesn't show on the scorecard 20-3. Because the Jets couldn't do anything offensively. Thank you, Adam Gase, for taking on the play calling again. Makes absolutely no sense. Their offensive coordinator, who should have been the offensive coordinator, he has been better play calling. He's been the better offensive guy than Adam Gase, the quarterback guru.
That's not saying much.
All I got to say with what I saw yesterday is I loved what Ashton Davis did. I loved it. Ashton Davis was all over the place yesterday. Again, Bryce, now I'll say this about Bryce Hall. Did he have the same game that he had against the Chargers? No. But he played well in certain parts of the game. You could see that he was making tackles, and that's the problem with the Jets all season long. They couldn't tackle. But now you're seeing them tackle. You're watching. Then here's another thing. Why isn't LaMichael Piron on the field? Why haven't we seen LaMichael Piron? Was he hurt? Is he on the injury report? Because I didn't see it. Why isn't Piron on the field? Denzel Mims was all over the place. Now, he should have caught a touchdown in the end zone. That was his. Even if he was double teams, I don't want to hear it. That hit your hands. You should have caught it. But you saw some positives for the New York Jets. You did. Not much, but you did. So as a Jet fan, you should sit back and say, wow, we've got some good young players. We could be good in the next 2 or 3 years if we add a quarterback that can make every single throw. And no offense to Sam, he can't. Sam has not proven yet that he can be a significant passer in the pocket. He hasn't proven it yet. And that's what worries me moving forward. If the Jets decide, Sam Darnold is the quarterback of the future, they pass up on somebody like a Trevor Lawrence because they want more draft stock. It could be the worst mistake of the Jets organization in their history. Because if Sam's not the guy and you pass up on a guy that can change your organization for the next 12 years, which everybody says he can, then you're going to be looked at as a guy that's going to get fired, and you're going to be looked at as a complete idiot.
John Ferris in the comment section says trade Darnold to the 49ers. You think that's something that's realistic?
I think there's a lot of realisticness for where Sam Darnold could be at the end of the season. 49ers, because he went to USC, he's from Southern California. It would make sense that he'd go back to California where his family is. Maybe he feels more comfortable going home. Maybe Indianapolis. I think Frank Reich could absolutely change his career and make him a better pocket present quarterback because he was a quarterback. I could see him going possibly to Pittsburgh Steelers to back up Ben Roethlisberger for one more year and then taking over for Pittsburgh. I mean, there's a lot of opportunities where he can go, but the way he's playing, you're not going to get over. You're definitely not getting a first now. You'll be lucky to get a second, and you're not getting double picks. You're not, unless it's 2 3s, one this year, and one next year. You're not going to get a second. You might not get a second round draft pick the way Sam's playing right now.
I think that only would come from the Colts or the Steelers. I don't think any other team would give that up at the moment, just because their roster construction is still strong at the moment with those two teams.
And by the way, Adam Gase, why are you going and talking to the press and saying at your press conference, play calling is not hard? Are you kidding me? Play calling is not hard. Let me ask you this question, Adam. And this is a good question. Why are you ranked in every defined offensive category last in offense this year? You're a quarterback guru. You're an offensive guy. You're all about offense. Why is your defense ranked 16th or 17th in the league in practically everything? You're one of the best run-stopping teams in the league. But your offense is the worst in every category in football, in the sport. Here's the answer. It's not easy. You're not good. You should have been fired a long time ago. And why you still have a position in the job is the only reason why I've been saying this over and over again. And now people are starting to listen to me. And I said this over and over and over and over again is because they want to lose. And Adam Gase gives the Jets the best chance to lose. That's why. CJ, Kevin, Mark, all you guys from Weapons Hot, the reason why Adam Gase still has his job is because he gives the Jets the best chance to lose. That's the answer. There's no question that's the answer. I don't know what you guys are thinking.
And no better draft to have the best chance to lose than the best quarterback prospect we've possibly seen this century.
And there you go. And this is the perfect time for the Jets to lose, and they're doing a very good job of it. A very good job of it. They've been absolutely horrendous. They've been a complete joke. And looking forward to where the Jets are going. The only thing they're looking forward to is going to 0-16 this year and being one of just 3 teams to ever go 0-16 in a season. And those teams are the Browns and the Lions. And now you have the Jets. So you got 3 of the worst franchises right now in football. And they're both, and the Jets are moving. I don't want to hear from Joe Douglas, well, we're trying to get that win so we can get that spurt where we can get that confidence. Why would you be trying to get a win? It doesn't make sense. Why would you be doing it? I understand players play, and they're going to play because they're playing for contracts. But you as an organization and what you did trading away all your captains and all your talent, that should tell all the players to lose. What the hell are you trying to say when they're talking to you at your press conference a couple weeks ago and saying, all we need is that first win. We're going to get confidence and we can win out. Why would you win out? What would be the sense of doing that as an organization, setting your organization back for many, many years? It doesn't make sense. And that's why I'm lost with the New York Jets and what the New York Jets are doing. It doesn't make sense. None of it does. Joe Douglas has proven he knows how to draft. We've seen it in the first year. We'll probably see it in the next 2 years. If he still has a job, if he decides to keep Adam Gase for another year, you're going to be fired with him at the end of that year, okay? Because they're not going to keep you, especially if Woody Johnson takes over the team. I'm telling you right now, Woody's going to listen to the fans. Chris listens to his ass, and Woody listens to the fans. And what I mean by his ass is donkey. His own. I think he looks at himself in the mirror and he probably asks questions to himself. I don't know. Anyways, when we come back, ladies and gentlemen, we will be talking to Wisconsin 3-star recruit and #1 running back recruit for the Badgers, Loyal Crawford, here on Down to the Wire.
It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. You're listening to Down to the Wire on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
As you guys know, this is Down to the Wire. We are live every single Monday from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. New York Eastern Time. Remember, you can call us at 631-965-4990. Go to our website at www.worldwidesportsradio.com. Download our app, WWSRN, or Android, Worldwide Sports Radio Network. Well, as you guys know, my content wasn't very good for New York sports. That's for sure. It definitely wasn't. The New York Giants, there is some confidence for the New York Giants to be a good organization and moving forward. They look like they could be a winning team moving forward, Joe Judge. But the New York Jets, I don't know where the hell they're going. Hopefully in a better place. And maybe with this guy being a future NFL running back, maybe the Jets will be looking for another running back one way or another. They need one, that's for damn sure. Because Lamichael Piron, we haven't seen him on the field. Maybe Adam Gase has his head up his ass. I don't know what the hell he's doing. But anyways, we are now talking to Wisconsin 3-star recruit and number 1 running back recruit for the Badgers, Loyal Crawford. What a name. What's going on, Loyal?
Hey, what's up, man? How's it going?
Well, we are good, man. I mean, I'm not dancing. As you know, you heard my rant about the Jets as a Jet fan, and I'm not a very happy one. At least Speedy he's happy over there with his Giants. I mean, they can make the playoffs being 6 and whatever. I mean, they're going to win 6 games. They'll probably win the division. The Jets, on the other hand, they're not going to win a game, and they'll go down as one of the top 3 worst teams in NFL history. So there you go. As a Jet fan, at least I'm breaking some kind of record. It's not a good one, but it's a record.
Dang, man, that's rough. That's definitely rough, man.
Well, let me ask you a question. How are you and your family doing with this crazy pandemic?
We're doing pretty good. Yeah, we've just been chilling. Haven't been doing a whole lot. My mom's about to have a baby here in February.
Congratulations.
So, yeah, I'll have a brother finally. I have a lot of sisters and no brothers, so finally have my wish granted for a brother, and I'm really excited about it.
How old are you?
I'm 17.
You're 17. Your mom's having a baby 17 years later from her firstborn, right? You're the firstborn.
Yep.
You're the firstborn, so your mom's having another baby, another son, 17 years later from her son now who's going to Wisconsin. He's going to be a Badger. He's going to go to a good, I guess, I'm not a Badger fan, okay? I'm just letting you know I can't stand the Badgers, but I've made some good friends. I like Al Ashford, who we interviewed, Al Ashford, who nice kid, really nice.
That's my guy right there.
I love him, man. He's got some personality, man. Love him. He follows me on Instagram. So I'm going to give him a shout out, Al Ashford, who very funny kid. And I think he's going to be a star corner in college football. And he's going to be an NFL prospect. But we're not talking about him. We're talking about you. So the pandemic is good. Your mom's healthy. Everything's going good?
Yeah, everything's going good. Everything is going smooth. Just doing what I got to do to get to June and head to Madison.
The big time Madison. Mr. Milwaukee over here. You'll be Mr. Milwaukee now. That's what we'll call you, Mr. Milwaukee. So let me ask you a question. What was it like being recruited, doing it a completely different way with this pandemic? You're doing it video conferences with the coaches, some of the players on the team. I'm sure they were trying to persuade you. Usually the coaches bring you over there. They introduce you to a bunch of cheerleaders and like, she's hot. Come over here, you know? Or what was it like being recruited and absolutely picking and deciding to go with Wisconsin?
Well, I mean, for me, I've always been a Badger fan my whole life. So I kind of always was like trying to get to Wisconsin. Like that was my goal. So, I guess what it was like being recruited for me was, I kind of just, when they offered me, I knew I wanted to go there already. So, I mean, I didn't really have much of like a recruiting process, if that makes sense, before I committed. So, it was honestly, the recruiting process for me went pretty fast. And like, as of now, like the Zoom calls and like everything's online now, it's definitely a little different, but I think I'm finally starting to adjust to it, to the systems and stuff. So, but that's how it went for me, or how it's going at least.
Was there anything specific about Coach Paul Christ that fueled you to pick Wisconsin over your other recruiting offers?
Yeah, for sure. I would say just how laid back of a guy he is. That definitely intrigued me. Like when I first met him and had my first conversation with him, it was like I already knew him. It's like we already had a relationship. There's just something about him that he's just like, he really makes you feel special and like at home when you're like talking to him. So that's definitely something that intrigued me.
So you play the running back position. It's a very important. By the way, we are talking to Wisconsin 3-star recruit and number one running back recruit for the Badgers, Loyal Crawford, which is it's an amazing. I love the name Loyal, and I could see
Thank
why.
you.
I could see why your mom calls you loyal, because you're a loyal guy. You always wanted to be a Badger, and loyal, the loyal fan that you are. You went to Wisconsin. That's where you wanted to be. You wanted to be in Milwaukee. You wanted to play for the Badgers, which I understand. So playing the running back position, and obviously it's a speed position. It's become it's really been a last to me when it comes to the NFL and college football. They don't really look at the running back position to be the important position now in college football and the NFL, because it's become a high flying game. That's what they do. They use the running game really to set up the throwing game. So when you look at the running game and look at your ability of the speed that you have, do you see yourself as a two-dimensional back that could be used as a wide receiver in a spread offense and also run the ball dominantly behind the line of scrimmage?
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, I could play receiver just as good as I could play running back. I mean, I train for both positions. Yeah, I'm definitely a dynamic running back that can do both run the ball and catch. So
Wisconsin has a very rich running back history, especially recently. We saw Monte Ball, who he had the FBS record at one point for rushing yards. Then you go to Melvin Gordon and then Jonathan Taylor, who was setting all kinds of records at that school too. Is there any one of those three running backs that really influenced you the most at Wisconsin? And also, is that a big reason you pick it, with the rich history of running backs, despite not having much else with the receivers and the quarterbacks and stuff like that?
Yeah, most definitely. I would say, well, they all intrigued me. I tried to take from each one of their games, like their skills. I tried to take from each one of them. But I would say the guy that I looked up to the most would be JT. I got to build somewhat of a relationship with him through my recruiting process, and he just gave me some good tips and really helped me out. And I mean, all I did was just obsess over his highlights for like the past like few years, and it's just really helped me. So yeah.
Now, I'm looking at some of the ex Wisconsin Badgers that made it to the NFL, the Allens, the Bonds, all of them, Beagle, all these guys made it to the NFL, and they all played. They're all in the NFL still. Some of them are still in the NFL. Some of them are pretty good. Corey Clement is still playing for the Philadelphia Eagles. So there has been a lot of Badgers that have come out from college football, made it to the NFL, and were successful. When you look at your game and the way you play, is there a particular running back that you see that's in the NFL that you can compare your skills to?
Yeah, I would say in the NFL, I would say I try to model my game after Alvin Kamara. He's one of those backs that can play receiver too. He can catch. His balance is incredible. And he's not the biggest guy, but like he plays a lot bigger than he is. Like he's really hard to bring down. And I would say that's kind of how I am.
So in this kind of spread offense league, I know Errol was referring to it earlier. Do you think it's pretty much an obligation, kind of like what you're seeing out of Alvin Kamara, to be a pass catching back? And if so, do you think that changes the whole training philosophy of it, where you train like that as a younger player, being a pass catching back just as much?
I'm sorry, I didn't fully understand that. Could you repeat that, please?
So do you think it's pretty much an obligation for modern running backs to be pass catching backs?
Oh yeah, for sure, most definitely. I think the game has changed with this day and age, and I think it's definitely a necessity for backs to be able to catch as well.
As you guys know, we are talking right now to Wisconsin 3-star recruit and number one running back recruit for the Badgers, Loyal Crawford. Loyal, where did you get your name? Now, my name is Errol, okay? My name is Errol. I was named after Errol Flynn, a movie star. My brother's name is Elton. He was named after Elton John. We all have original, unique names. My sister, Samantha Ashley, she was named after Samantha from that, what is that, Bewitched show? So it was Bewitched.
Yeah.
So where do you get your name? I mean, Loyal being loyal, I understand the whole Loyal name, but is there something behind it that your mom decided to give you that name?
I mean, I guess my mom just wanted more of a unique name, and I guess she picked Loyal. I guess one time she told me she named me Loyal because she wanted me to stay loyal to her for life.
Mm-hmm.
So, but honestly, I think she just wanted more of a unique name. And I mean, there's not a whole lot of people named Loyal. So, yeah.
So hold on one second. What are your brothers and sisters' names?
I live with two of my sisters, Sierra and Tori.
Mm-hmm.
And then I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sisters that don't live with me, and their names are Jessa, Aria, Jasmine, Destiny, and Ayana.
Wow.
So
you got a big family, man.
yeah, for sure.
Oh, man, you'll be taking care of them if you make it to the NFL. Holy moly. You're gonna have so many nephews and nieces.
Yeah, that's the goal.
You're 4 away from a full 11-man offense or 11-man defense.
You're gonna have a whole offense. That's what you're gonna have. You're gonna have an offensive line and a bunch of running backs.
Yep.
Oh man. Go ahead, Speedy.
Yeah, so I was going to ask, with the running back platoons we also see now in the NFL, because it's very often, we don't see it as much with defensive players or receivers, but running backs seem to be platooned a lot in the modern NFL. Why do you think that is the most? And do you think maybe it shows that it's maybe the deepest position in the NFL among just all rosters?
Yeah, for sure. And by platoon, you just mean like a lot of different running backs?
Yeah, like a running back by committee type thing.
Yeah, I think it's more of running backs get hit a lot more. So they don't last as much, or like their bodies aren't
6 to 7 years in the NFL.
Yeah, they average like less time because they're getting hit constantly. So I think the reason why like running backs are so platooned is because of that reason. Like it's always nice to like have someone else to come in for you and your body's not getting beat up as much. You can have a longer career that way.
Well, I will say this. When you look at the running backs in the NFL, you're absolutely right. An average running back, I think, is 5 to 6 years that go into the NFL. If you're good, you last 6, 7 years. I mean, you're not Adrian Peterson or Frank Gore. I mean, these guys are beasts. They're monsters. I don't know how these two guys are still in the NFL. It's unbelievable what Frank Gore is doing for the Jets and what AP could be a Pro Bowl player again this year. It's crazy. It's ridiculous what that guy does with his body. It's incredible. It's absolutely incredible. So I watched a couple of your clips, Loyal. Okay, and when I asked you who do you compare your game to, you said Alvin Kamara. Do you know who I compare your game to?
Who is that?
Aaron Jones. That's who you remind me of. The way you play. Okay. Green Bay Packer. Small guy. I mean, you're not a small guy, but you're not a big guy. But Aaron Jones is a power back, but he's a lot stronger than people actually see him to be. I mean, when he runs through, it's like a brick running through a wall. So you remind – I mean, the clips that I saw of you and even watching last night's game, you remind me of Aaron Jones. That's who you remind me of.
Okay.
So I'm giving you a compliment. I'm not a Badger fan. Everybody here knows I'm not a Badger fan. And by the way, we have a big Badger fan that's listening to, and he's excited. He keeps saying, I'll tell you what he wrote over here. I love this kid already. He says, on to Wisconsin. He's happy, he's screaming. And then he says, and then he tells me Russell Wilson and JJ Watt. Duh. Okay. I'm not a Badger fan. So I know about Russell Wilson. I know how great he is. And I know J.J. Watt, who I think is one of the most overrated defensive players of all time. That's just me. I'm going to say that. That's what I think. I've argued that for years. But the Badgers have had very good players come from their school and have been successful in the NFL. So last question for me before we get into the craziness, because I know we're taking up your time and you probably got to go see your mom. By the way, does your mom have a name for your brother that's going to be when she gives birth? Did she have a name already?
Yeah, but I don't think I'm allowed to say it yet.
All right, I want to steal it, but you're gonna have to tell us because I bet you it's unique. I bet you.
Yeah, I will. I might be able to tell you soon.
Yeah, good. Just don't tell us now because I don't want to get you into trouble. Okay. I don't
Yeah.
want you to go up with a switch paddle at me, or paddle. I mean, yeah, I
won't do nothing like that.
I sometimes need a spanking, man. I sometimes I do. I'm 38 years old and I still need a spanking. So everybody needs a spanking once in a blue moon. Why not get one?
Yeah.
Anyways, Speedy needs a spanking. Maybe we should smack him around a couple of. Anyways, as you guys know, we are talking to Wisconsin 3-star recruit and number 1 running back recruit for the Badgers, Loyal Crawford. All right, Loyal, before I get to the craziness, and I know Speedy probably has one more question for you. I look at the game, the college game to the NFL game, and what really bothers me about college sports, and I want to know you because you're going into college next year. And I believe that college players should be paid. I think that college players should be able, if they're a star running back, a star wide receiver, they're playing great football, they want to go and sign autographs and they want to make money off their autographs, their jerseys, they should be permitted to do so. Not that if you find out, AKA Reggie Bush, who got his Heisman taken away from him, they took away USC's championship, all that other stuff. I think it's absolutely incredible. You can't take away something that somebody won. Okay. So do you think, honestly, college players should get paid?
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, if it weren't for the players, there wouldn't be anything to base anything else off of. The game is the base of it all. Without the players, there's nothing to show for it.
Mm-hmm.
So I definitely think they deserve that. And I mean, they're putting their heart and soul for however long they're at the college. They're putting their heart and soul into these football programs and bringing them revenue. So I definitely think that they should be able to profit off of their name for sure.
All right, last question for me. One Big Ten opponent you are most looking forward to facing and why?
Big Ten component. I don't even know. I'm ready to face them all, honestly. So, yeah.
He's a confident devil over here, man. He is a confident devil. I like it. Al Ashford, and I'll tell you a little bit about him. I talked to Al. He actually did the interview in his car, and it was one of the most funny, outgoing guys. We've interviewed a lot of recruits, and I will say you have a very good teammate going to school with you. I will tell you that. A leader. You could tell he's a born-again leader. And his ability to draw people and with his personality and his will, I think he's going to be a huge player like you with the Badgers. I think you guys are – I think the school is in good hands when it comes to the football program with some of the young players that we've interviewed from the Badgers.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. Now I'm complimenting the Badgers. I got to get off that. I got to get off that. No more compliments for the Badgers. I don't compliment the Badgers. I'm not a Badger fan, as everybody knows. Why do you hate the Badgers? Why do you hate the Badgers? I've hated the Badgers since I was a kid, okay? I just hated them, but that's just me. I just never liked them, okay? So I know a load of Wisconsin Badger fans, too. They can't stand me because I grew up a Florida State fan. And now they stink. So I don't really even go out and actually permit myself to say who I root for, but because they're just so bad. But that's a whole nother world. Anyways, here we go. So what we do here is we're going to ask you 3 very unique, crazy questions. Okay. I'm sure Jillian told you that. And after that, we're going to let you choose whatever 3 questions you would want to know about us. Anything you want. Anything you want, any crazy questions. Come on, think. I've asked these guys, I've asked some of you guys, some of you recruits, to ask me whatever you want. I will answer whatever you want. And all of them ask me these weird, stupid, laid back questions. I mean, anybody can ask me, well, what's your favorite color? What's your favorite sport? You can ask me whatever you want, anything you want, ask away, man. I'm all ready for it. So anyways, First question I'm going to ask you, bud, is what would you rather wear, boxers or briefs, and why?
I guess it just depends on the day, but I would say most days I would go with briefs.
You like it?
Just because it's a sports thing, I think. Like, I don't know, compression shorts, I always wear them, so briefs kind of pretty much the same thing. So I don't know, it's just kind of what I've come accustomed to, I guess. But I mean, it's always nice to wear boxers every once in a while to let everything breathe, you know.
Oh yeah, you know, when you're wearing your nice jeans, you know, you want the air to hit your two fellows over there, right? Is that
yeah, for sure.
You know, especially when you're going on a date, you're hanging out with a woman, you got to make sure that they're, you know, hanging the right way. You're not sticking.
Yeah, most definitely.
Look at Speedy. He's like shaking his head. What the hell are you doing? All right. Second question. Favorite snack to eat before a game and why?
Snack. I would say like a smoothie. Like a big smoothie. Just because fruit just gives me energy before a game. So yeah. I would say yes, a smoothie. I put like bananas in it, like mixed berries. I'll throw in like it's called maca powder.
I know what it is.
Yeah, it gives you a lot of energy. And then, yeah, I'll do that. And yeah, so a smoothie.
Listen, it's just a smoothie, guys. You're the first recruit. You're the first recruit that actually said smoothie, okay? You should hear some of the crazy stuff that we've heard. Some of the top recruits in the country, some of the craziness that we've heard. And you just say, you know what, I'm just going to drink a smoothie. You know, I'm going to get ready for a game, drink a nice fresh smoothie. I like my fruits. I love my bananas, my strawberries, my blueberries. I'm ready to go, baby. I'm ready to go, coach. I'm running to a wall for you. Anyways, last question. This is going to be a new one because, you know, if you were hanging out with a woman, okay, and you were hanging out on a date and you would play a particular song to smooth over the passionate part of the date, what track would that be and why?
Oh man, honestly,
come on, give us a good one. I know you know.
His name? And man, I don't know his name. Can't think of his name. Shoot. Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know.
Sing it for us. Come on.
I'll just play like, I don't know. I don't have a specific song, but like, I know like Lionel Richie's a little bit like romantic. I'll probably play a little bit of him or something. Like, yeah, I don't know. I don't got no songs like.
So when you're on a date, you haven't like, you know, you just put your arm around her, you're driving your car, or you're just hanging out, and you put your arm around her at a movie theater, and you're like, oh man, I wish.
Oh yeah, and Bryson Tiller, I'll play him too.
All right, Bryson Tiller. Okay, all right.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Put your arm around her, and you're like, oh, I wish this song goes on. Oh man, this will really be smooth, you know?
Yeah.
That's what I'm. Every time I'm thinking, I'm like, you know what track do I want to hear? I just want it to pop on, and it just pop on. That's why we have all these things, Alexa and Google Home and all that other stuff. You could just say, you know, I'm not going to say because I have it in the other place. It could go off, but you could tell her whatever to play, and she'll play it. So it'll be like, that's right, baby, sing it to me.
Yeah.
Speedy, you know, he'll probably listen to Weird Al Yankovic or something.
We're hating on Weird Al Yankovic.
Anyways, okay, so you got 3 questions to ask us. Shoot ahead, my friend.
What made you guys want to start this radio show?
Oh, that's a good question. And a lot of people ask this question. I worked for NBC and CBS Sports Radio for a couple of years. I was an executive producer. I did some work for them. I wanted to give Long Island, where we're from, I wanted to give Long Island a voice for sports media and sports press. And I started a radio show. really just wanting to give a different sound, a different look, not podcasts, because podcasts really, they existed, but they weren't big. And we weren't a podcast. We did a live show. So I wanted to give something to sports that nobody's ever heard, and kind of a different outlook to having fun on sports, but also give them the defined message of what sports should be. And that's why I did it. And then we became one of the biggest sports radio shows, digital profiled sports radio shows, where we were recognized by a lot of multimedia companies. And then now we're on 103.9 out here FM. We do a show with Eric Coleman, who played for the Jets, the Atlanta Falcons, and the Lions. And now we're working on something big that's coming up very, very soon that could put us on a center stage when it comes to sports radio. So I wanted to give a network of talent. We're not just here in Long Island. Our shows are from all parts of the country: Cincinnati, Florida, Chicago. We have shows from all different parts. And I wanted to give people a different look to what sports should be on a network of talent. And we prepare to give you the best opportunity to follow and watch us and understand that we're just normal guys like you, and we like to entertain people. So that's how it all started.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome. Congrats on that, guys. For
Thank
real. Sounds like you guys have been at it for a while.
We have, man. Yeah, listen, even as a player, as a football player, as an athlete, you know this all as well. When you do something, you want to do it at the best of your ability. If you want to be the best,
sure.
You want to be looked at as the best, you're gonna have to take obstacles. You're gonna have to climb the ladder. If you think that you're gonna stand up from the top, and it's all about who you know, and you'll see that going to college, that's great. And I'll tell that to all the kids: go to college, get your education, but education doesn't get you where you want. What gets you where you want is talent and who you know. What kind of building process you have with different people in business and in the world, wherever you want to get into. You have to build a good rapport with them. And I think what you do as an athlete will drive you for your career, no matter what you do. So take what you do and be the best at what you could be, so you can drive opportunity in different areas of the world when football is over. So that's my advice to you.
Okay.
So.
Well, I was gonna ask you that, but you answered it. So, I guess, what's one thing you would have wanted to know coming out of high school? Like something that's like important, like that, like you had no clue about, and then you just like, bam, you just like turned into an adult, and you're like, what the heck? What is this? Like, is there any advice?
It's a good question, and for me, I can give you a great answer.
That is a really good question. For me, I think a lot of it was, I wish I knew that different people would be different in high school and in college, because my high school path and my college path were definitely very different. I was kind of like I was a late bloomer to a lot of things. Like I wasn't. We had
boy, oh boy, is he a late bloomer in a lot of ways, my friend.
We had two different towns that came together in high school, so it took a while for me to make those friends. It took a while. It's taken a while for me to drive, because I was very scared of it at the time. So I wish I knew some of the things that maybe I should have prioritized a little more in terms of just the career path, and also a job path in general. Like even in college, I was late to certain things with finding internships and stuff like that. So those are just some of the things that I wish I wasn't as, I guess, maybe overthinking my life. So
I will say this: I was a big athlete growing up, and when I graduated from high school, I was a top prospect for hockey. I was a top 50 prospect in the country. I was getting scouted by NHL teams when I was 14 years old. I always saw myself as a professional athlete. It was an all-state runner. I played on the football team I was the backup corner, because I was young. I was a 8th grader, 9th grader playing on a championship state level football team. And I did everything at the best of my ability. And when I graduated from school, I hurt myself. And I was very cocky and egotistic, and it was a big mistake that I don't have an ego anymore because of it. I learned a huge lesson. I stopped playing hockey. I got screwed out of my scholarship because I never signed my letter of intent before I went to the tournament. They decided to not give me the full scholarship, that they'd give me a half a scholarship to be a walk-on and earn my spot and show them how healthy I am. I thought I was too good for that. I got very upset. I decided not to go to the school. I decided to go to county school, Suffolk County School over here on Long Island, and really never finished what I started as me being a professional athlete. And I regret being an egotistical person at that time of my life, believing that I was just too good for the process. And I think if I knew what I did then, I'd probably be playing professional hockey right now or retiring now, because I'm 38. I'd probably be retiring right now being, I'm still in a good spot, but I'd be in a huge better spot. I'd be in a spot where I could be setting myself up in a good situation. So that would be the thing that I would have changed when I graduated from high school.
Okay. That's good to know.
Mm-hmm.
That's nice to know.
Yes. So one more question, bud. Anything you want.
Let me think. I'm trying to think of a good one here. What's like another country or like place you guys have always wanted to like possibly live at?
No, that's a good question.
That is a really good question.
And why? Like, what about it is like special?
Go ahead, Speedy, quickly.
Yeah, I'm gonna say Germany for me.
Been there.
I have family roots there, and two, I've always wanted to go to an Oktoberfest. I think it would be a lot of fun.
He's a drinker, man. He likes to drink his beer. He likes that beer. I've been to Germany. I've been to New Zealand. I've been all over the world. I was a very well-known DJ when I graduated from high school and college, and I traveled around the country. So I've experienced a lot, man. I've experienced a lot in the entertainment world. So I would say my favorite place that I always wanted to move, because I just love the place, is Canada. It doesn't matter, Vancouver.
Oh,
Calgary.
yeah.
It's, to me, with the breathing over there, just everything over there, it's another country. It's a country that I find very safe in so many ways than one. That's where I would go. That's the place I would go because of the sports, and it's still a very well known. And I was a hockey player, so that was something that I very much adored when it came to sports. But I love all sports, so that's where I would go.
Nice. Yeah, Canada's beautiful, man. I went there 2 summers ago for a fishing trip, and just the landscape and the water and stuff. It's just beautiful up there.
Oh, absolutely, man. And believe it or not, some of the best surfers have come from Canada, believe it or not.
Really?
Yeah, I bet you
nobody
knew that. I bet you nobody knew that. Oh, Australia or California. But that's not true. I mean, some of the best surfers have come up north. Very much up north. So there you go.
Wow.
Some news for you, my friend. Believe it or not. So anyways, why don't you tell the fans how they can find you on social media?
Yeah, you can follow me on Twitter at loyal_Crawford, and then follow me on Instagram. Instagram is my main spot. So I would say if you're going to follow anything, follow my Instagram, and you can follow me there at loyal_FT_ball.
And listen, man, Loyal, I want you to be a fan of the show. I want you to stick around. I want you to follow our social medias. I don't know if you follow our social medias. Do you follow us?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
But I want you to follow. By the way, you have to concentrate on Twitter, man. If you're going to be a professional athlete, Twitter is the thing. So make sure.
Okay.
Twitter is the thing, man. I'm telling you right now, you'll see, because all the athletes, they're in tune with the fans on Twitter. I mean, Instagram's more for pictures, you know what I mean? And video.
Yeah.
I think Twitter is more for conversation and getting yourself out there. So concentrate on Twitter. I think Twitter I'm not the best social media guy anyway. So me giving you advice would be bad, but I'm just giving you some advice as an athlete. And if you want to be a professional athlete, it would give a good opportunity for you to get everybody to know who you are on Twitter. Anyways, so I'm going to have Speedy send you my social medias. I want you to follow me on Instagram. I want you to follow me on Facebook. Okay. So I'm not Facebook, on Twitter. So I definitely want you to do that.
All right. For sure. For sure.
All right, my friend. We will get you on next year. We're going to get you on, not next year. Well, before next year, before the next season, I would love to get you on. And during the season, I want to get you on. I want to see how, how everything is going in Wisconsin, how you feel about playing for Wisconsin and the team. Yeah, I see it over there. Humble in the grind. But
yeah, well, I just wanted to say, I have a brand called that me and my trainer have put together. It's our slogan is Shag. It's stay humble and grind. And if you would like to purchase any merchandise, just hit me up on my Instagram and I will hook you guys up. So yeah.
You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna do you a favor. I'm gonna buy a shirt from you. Okay.
All right, sweet, man.
I'll wear it. I'll promote it out here in New York.
Awesome. That would mean a lot.
Absolutely, man. I'll do it. I'll get all your information. I'll have Speedy get all your information. He'll send you mine. We'll be in touch, and I'll buy you a shirt. How much is for a shirt that you're wearing right now?
I believe this is about $30.
All right.
For a sweater. Yep.
All right. That's not bad. I'll get one. I'll sport it on the show and promote you guys. Absolutely.
Awesome, and I appreciate that.
Absolutely. Stay in touch, my friend. Thank you for joining us.
For sure. You guys have a good night and take it easy.
Absolutely. We were just talking to Wisconsin 3-star recruit and the number 1 running back recruit for the Badgers, Loyal Crawford, guys. Great kid. Great kid. Really is, Speedy. How did you like him? I thought it was a good interview. He was really, really nice kid.
Very unique, too.
Yes, his questions were very unique. Very, very unique. I like that about him. I like that he had
he's got a unique name, so maybe it shows.
Well, unique as the Mystique. That's what we'll call him, Mystique. All right. What did we call him before that? What did I give him before? I said something else.
I don't remember.
I'll call him Mystique. Yeah. Loyal Mystique Crawford.
Yeah, whatever it was, Mystique, unique. The Mystique, the unique is definitely better.
Yeah, I would say so. Absolutely. So, let's go to a quick break. When we come back, I want to finish up with the week 13, right? It was week 13?
Week 12.
I'm sorry. It goes so fast, guys. I don't know. I'm a little lost. So week 12, we'll go through the games. Well, we just talked about the Giants and Jets before we had Loyal on the show. And then we'll get into some basketball and baseball conversation. The winter meetings are this week. Where does George Springer go? Stories coming out that he wouldn't mind playing for the Blue Jays. So we'll get into that a little bit. And the New York Knicks are on an interesting grind to find a point guard before the season starts. There is a name coming out, and I've been talking about it over and over again, but this guy seems to be the guy that they're gunning for now. When we come back, we'll get into that here on Down to the Wire.
It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. You're listening to Down to the Wire on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
As you guys know, this is Down to the Wire. I'm your host, Errol Marks, my co-host over there in Connecticut, floating away into the ocean, Speedy Petey, over there in Connecticut. Whoopee-doo. As you guys know, you can call us at 631-965-4990. You can also go to our website at www.worldwidesportsradio.com. And guys, you can download our app by going to iOS, WWSRN, or Android. Yes, the great Android, the one and only Android. Yes, Android, Worldwide Sports Radio Network. Well, Speedy, how did you like Loyal?
He was awesome. He was definitely one of the best interviews we've had, one of the most unique kids, like we mentioned just before that. And he's got a unique family, unique questions, like you said, and a lot of great answers. He was very good.
Yeah, well, you weren't. That's all I'm going to say about that. That's just me. I just think that you're a little out there, Speedy. But our next guest is even more out there, and we have the Beef on the line. What's going on, Beef?
How are you, my friend?
How are you, man? We want to talk about a guest that's a little out there.
Out there? I am not out there, buddy. You're the one that tells people lies.
Oh, I'm telling people lies. What lies am I telling people? I want to hear this. What lies am I saying?
I'm not going to get into that because I don't want to embarrass you.
You're not embarrassing me. It's nothing that I won't tell anybody on live radio. Let me tell you. Speedy knows.
All
I
right.
mean, anyways, what would you like to talk about?
Well, Speedy's out there too, so but that's besides the point. So where do you see the New York Mets spending money this offseason?
Well, here's a guy.
What players
Yeah.
do you see that? Like I heard George Springer, I heard players like that. I heard DJ LeMahieu possibly go in, but I don't know if they're gonna, go after all those guys.
I don't think they're going to go after. Josh, I want to give a shout out to Josh over there, and I know he's probably not listening because he heard his interview and that's what he wanted to hear. But I'm sure he's going to listen to this part because I'm going to tell him to listen to it. He's out of his damn mind. I know he's a Met fan, but he thinks that Bauer's going there, Springer's going there, Nolan Arenado. I heard. I mean, all these different guys.
Well, those are the two guys that I heard that they were really interested with Springer and LeMahieu. So I'm not 100% sure if they'll be able to get both of them, maybe one of them, but I know they need a second baseman. So
DJ LeMahieu is not going to the Mets. I think DJ and LeMahieu, he always wanted to be a Yankee, grew up a Yankee fan. He's there with the Yankees. Yeah. He's had 2 sensational seasons with the Yankees. I think the Yankees will pay him. I think eventually the Yankees will give him a 2-3 year deal worth about $22-23 million. I think that's what he wants a year. I think the Yankees will be willing to give him that.
But Cohen's willing to spend too. So
Cohen's
not where the money is.
I don't think Cohen is going to go after DJ LeMahieu because I think he's a Yankee. I don't think he wants to cause any ruckus with the other side of the Hudson. I don't see Cohen trying to smack the Yankees around. I don't think he's trying to compete with the Yankees. I think he's trying to compete with the league and the National League. And if the Mets are trying to compete with the Yankees, well, there's no comparison and there's no competitiveness to that.
No, there is.
I'm just telling you what I think. I'm telling you what I think. I just don't think Cohen is going to do that. I think Springer seems more likely of the guy that they're going to go after. That's the guy that I think they're shooting for. So I do believe the Blue Jays are two teams that I think are very interested in George Springer. Whoever offers him the most money is where he's going to go. And I think the Mets have the richest owner. They took $20 million off the cap with Robinson Cano.
Well, yep. Mm-hmm.
I think it makes sense now to go after Springer and give him his $30 million a year because that's what he's going to get in the open market. He's going to get $30 million a year. He's the best center fielder in the league. You got to pay the best center fielder in the league. And besides, well, he's not the best. He's the second best because we know who the best is. It's Mike Trout. He's the best. But
he's the best.
Yeah, I would say Springer is second. Springer is the second best center fielder in baseball. And you want to put Aaron Hicks.
They need a second baseman. So who are they going to go get?
It's a good question. I think they're going to shift. I think well, first of all, they have the young kid. What's his name again?
Andres Jimenez.
Jimenez. I think it would make more sense to move Jimenez.
To bring him up.
Yes, I think Jimenez will go to short. They'll trade their shortstop right now, and I think I think you put McNeil at second base because McNeil is a natural second baseman. That's what I would do. Mm-hmm. And get a third baseman. I think there are better valued third basemen right now that make more sense to be valued at the position that they're looking for than moving a guy or going after DJ LeMahieu and overpaying a guy. McNeil right now, you still control him. He's still under his rookie contract. I think McNeil makes sense over there.
But he's up to. I mean, he's a little bit older though for a rookie. I mean, but he got hurt too, so he's coming off an injury as well.
Yes,
he's still young enough where that's still not really a big issue. The Mets need outfielder more and probably pitching depth, especially with their bullpen too.
I think it would make you can get a valued third baseman to play for you right now. You can go after Gio Urshela right now from the Yankees. You add Gio Urshela over there, he's not going to cost you a lot. What is he going to cost you? $7-8 million a year, $9 million a year. I make that move. Gio Urshela is a Gold Glove defensive player. That's what they need. They need defense over there. And Gio Urshela can give you 20, 22 home runs a season in 162 games. I go after Gio Urshela. I think that would make sense for the Mets. You move Gio Urshela over there. You put McNeil at second, and then you put Jimenez at short, and then you trade your shortstop for a pick or whatever you want to get in the outfield to help Springer out and what you have over there. And you got to pay Conforto too. So that's something that they have to do too.
Yeah, but I still think they need another pitcher because you don't know what what Syndergaard's going to look like.
Well, hold on one second. You say they need another pitcher. Well, they have Noah Syndergaard, and I'll probably be back probably half the season, quarter of the season into the season. They're going to have
Yeah,
Noah
but you
Syndergaard.
don't know. But you don't know what he's going to be like.
He's Noah Syndergaard. He's tore his.
He's like that anyway, though.
Yeah. No, Noah Syndergaard is he torn his ACL, his UCL. He's going to be a better pitcher when he comes back. More power. He's going to throw the ball even harder now. I think
hope
so.
you're right.
No, he is.
I mean, if that's the case, I hope you're right. And I still don't trust Stroman. And say what you want about the guy, I just don't trust him.
They're not. That's why I don't think they're going to go after a pitcher, because if you look at their starting rotation, they have a pretty good rotation on paper. It's still really good.
They only have one number one, and that's DeGrom.
That's fine. That's all you need.
Two number ones. There's not many of them.
Usually, I mean, you have like a 1 and a 2, and I don't even know if Syndergaard's a 2 right now.
Stroman was a 2 with the Blue Jays in the American League. He is a 2.
Noah
Syndergaard is a 2. He could be a 1 on another team. So you really, I mean, with the 3 pitchers that you have right now, you want to get a 4th pitcher? You could go after a 4th pitcher, like an older pitcher that's
or something like that.
Yeah, like somebody that can, you can fill in a spot that, could be part of your rotation. But I don't think you need a Bauer. I don't think you're going to go after that kind of money. It doesn't make any sense.
I'm just saying, I just don't know how Syndergaard's going to be after this injury. That's my own concern. I mean, I just don't
Syndergaard will be fine. Syndergaard will be fine. Trust me. The Mets better worry about. They better be worried about signing him next year. That's what they need to worry about.
Yeah. Well, I don't trust Matz at all one bit.
Well, yeah. Here's the thing: if you put Steven Matz as your 5th guy, what does it matter? What does he matter? He's better than most 5th guys on most teams. If you put Steven Matz at 5, I mean the Mets expected Steven Matz to be a 3rd guy. He's now, honestly, he's like a 5th guy on that roster. You bring in a veteran pitcher that is available that you can get on the cheap. You can get like a $7-8 million pitcher, $9 million pitcher. You bring him in. You still have what's his name again from the Cardinals, who you can move into the rotation. What's his name again, Speedy? Who came from the Cardinals?
From the Cardinals? No. Oh, Waka, you're talking about.
Michael Waka. You could move Michael Waka as your 4th pitcher, which they did in this season. You put Michael Waka as your 4th. Then you have DeGrom, Syndergaard when he comes back. Right now you put Stroman at number 2. And then your last guys, you have Waka, and then you have Matz. I think that's a great rotation. I mean, it's not the rotation; it's relief pitching that the Mets need. They need more relief.
Yes, but I mean, they did fix it a little bit last year with some, but I mean, not like they should have. But they need. You're right; they need to spend money in the bullpen. So
they do. I think Betances is gone.
And I do not. I mean, Edwin Diaz, I do not trust him at all. I never will. That was one of the worst trades they ever made.
I think Sandy Alderson will trade Diaz before the season.
He should.
I think he will.
Speaking of that, I'm a little surprised.
If you listen to Sandy Alderson when they interviewed him when he got the job as the president, and they asked him about the trade that Brody Van Wagenen sent their best prospect for Robinson Cano, and
I told you that was the worst trade the Mets ever made.
Well, I don't know if it was the worst trade. I just think Diaz hasn't cut it.
It was a terrible trade.
We don't even know what that player is going to be in the MLB. We don't even know what he is. He looks good right now in AAA.
I just had a bad feeling about it, and my gut feeling was right on that one.
He looks good in AAA, but we got to see him in the major leagues. We don't know what he's going to be. So as of right now, Sandy Alderson made a huffing and puffing sound where he thought Brody Van Wagenen is an idiot. That's what he pretty much said. You don't trade away a prospect that good a prospect for a 30-something-year-old washed-up second baseman, and Diaz, who had one good season. I like Diaz. I still do. I like
I
the
know
kid.
you still like him, but he doesn't have it.
Not in New York. Not in New York. I bet you go somewhere else and he'll be successful.
He could. Some players are like that. They can't play in New York. It's been proven plenty of times.
It's weird because the Mets aren't a winning organization. What does it matter? Why are you under stress?
But it's still New York, but the cameras are still on you. It's New York. It's the same thing.
New York.
New York.
New
You
York.
know how it is.
New York, and you know how it is. New York. We're in New York, baby.
Yeah.
We're in New York.
I've always had some of the big name relief pitchers anyway.
I hope he does spend money because I'm tired of seeing this people.
Listen, Speedy, we're Yorking. We're Yorking. Okay, we're New Yorking. We're New Yorking. Anyways, as you guys know, we are talking to the Beeve in Bayshore. He has his own thoughts to sports, a lot of crazy ones. So you might hear one before he gets offline. So that would be interesting. Yeah, this is the same guy that told me a couple of weeks ago that Ezekiel Elliott is a better running back than Curtis Martin, which is a joke.
He is a better running back than Curtis.
You're out of your damn mind.
Oh my God.
He's more talented.
You're lost. You are absolutely lost.
I knew you were going to bring that up.
Yeah, because you're lost. How could you say Ezekiel Elliott is Curtis Martin, even anywhere close to the same type of player as Curtis Martin? He's not.
He's going to have
Curtis Martin was the top 15 performance-wise running back, which is what Zeke is this year.
Yeah, you're talking about one of the best running backs to ever play the game, one of the top 10 best running backs to ever play the game, and you're comparing Ezekiel Elliott to him, who can't even run in the McCarthy offense. Give me a break.
Curtis Martin never had a season this bad ever.
You're on drugs, man. I know. Listen, man. If you, I want to bring you some reefer. I'll bring you some reefer. You want some drinks? Speedy can bring you the beer. He likes to test them. You need it. Your Coors Light, it really doesn't work for you.
It's Bud Light, not Coors
No,
Light.
it's Coors Light. Don't lie to people. You're a Coors Light fan. How's mom, by the way?
You're an idiot.
Oh man, as you guys know, we're talking to the Beeve.
So what do you think of your Yankees? What do you think they should go to?
It's a good question. I think the number one target, the number one thing they need to do is DJ LeMahieu. That's the number one target. Make sure you sign the batting champion, the guy that really runs that offense. He everything moves through him in the offense now. So it's not Giancarlo, it's not Aaron Judge, it's not Gleyber Torres, who's a sensational player.
Well, I'm worried about Judge. That guy can't stay healthy.
Well, I'm worried about a lot of players that can't stay healthy. I think if Judge, listen, I think the Yankees baby Judge, and I think this year, I think you'll see Judge again. I think you'll see him hit 40 home runs this year.
He's a great player. He has all the talent in the world, and he's such a big guy that he gets hurt so easily. It's injury prone.
He's got to stop rubbing the knob of his bat in his ass. That's what I think he needs to stop doing.
Maybe. I don't know.
I think he's lost a little bit, but that could be a big problem for Mr. Aaron Judge.
What about their starting rotation? Their pitching.
Listen, it's going to be a good question what the Yankees do now that Morton signed with the Braves. I was very surprised about that. Yeah. That didn't make any sense in my eyes why the Braves wanted him. I mean, the Braves have a good pitching staff as of right now. You're adding another pitcher who doesn't pitch well in the regular season. Made no sense. But that's just me. I think the Yankees got to look at. I would bring back James Paxton. I think James Paxton. He still could be an elite pitcher. I do believe that. I still think he could be a 1 or a 2 for the Yankees. You won't have to pay him a lot of money because he missed the whole season last year because of injury. So you can bring James Paxton on a 10 or a 14, $15 million contract. Bring James Paxton back for a year, see if he gets back to normalcy, and then you can decide what you do with him next season. As far as Tanaka, let him go. Masahiro Tanaka, let him go.
Well, that was another rumor that I heard that the Mets might go after.
They should. They should. Tanaka would be a good 4th starter for the Mets. He would be good.
That was another rumor.
He could fit with the Mets. You put him over there. You won't have to overpay him. I think Masahiro Tanaka, you can probably get him for $14-15 million a year.
They might do that too. I wouldn't be surprised if they did.
Well, it makes sense. I think Tanaka would be good in the National League. Now that the DH is now put into the game, it benefits him.
Is that officially going to happen this year?
Yes, it's happening this year.
I don't know if it's official. It's definitely in that way based on the success of it this year.
It is official. It's going to be happening this year. I mean, it'll be there. There's no more pitchers swinging for the ball. So you're going to see DH improvised into the offense. So I think it makes
that should have been done a long time ago.
Well, and I think Masahiro Tanaka would be a good fit for the Mets. I really do believe that.
But the Yankees need starting pitching. They need somebody.
I really don't think so. You have Montgomery. I'll tell you already. You still have what's his name again? That guy from the Blue Jays. They have J. Happ, and Happ could be your fifth starter or sixth starter for your team. You have Jordan Montgomery, who played very well and pitched very well in the playoffs. He was one of the best pitchers for the Yankees in the playoffs. I like Jordan. Jordan could be your fourth starter. You have Garcia. He's your third. You bring in James Paxton. You have James Paxton. You have Cole. I mean, that's a pretty good – they had the best pitching staff going into the season last year. Everybody thought they had the best pitching staff. Now this year, if you lose Tanaka, you still have one of the best pitching staffs in baseball. So if they stay healthy, the Yankees have a very good pitching staff.
But that was their problem last year was the starting pitching. Their bullpen was fine.
No, their bullpen was terrible. The Yankees
bullpen was down though for their standards. There was a lot of guys that struggled.
Oh, the Yankees bullpen was terrible. The Yankees had
the year before that. Then there was
the Yankees starting pitching was not bad this year. It was the bullpen. That really hurt the Yankees this season. Almost made the Yankees. They made the Yankees lose 7-8 games. They gave up leads in that game because of their bullpen. Their bullpen was horrendous. That's what the Yankees got to look at is bullpen help. That's what the Yankees need. The haters of the world, they need to go after a big name to put in the middle of that that bullpen where you can get them in the 7th or 8th inning and you can dominate and just shut teams down.
When you talk to a lot of Yankee fans, they put a lot of blame on Aaron Boone and how he manages.
Oh God! Listen, I don't like what Aaron Boone did in the playoffs. Okay, I did not like what Aaron Boone did taking Garcia out. That was a terrible decision. I think that cost the Yankees winning that series. Okay, because I think Garcia would have gotten out of that inning, even given up 2 or 3 runs. They would have won that game because they scored 4 or 5 runs in that game. They probably would have won that game. So it didn't make any sense why Aaron Boone did, but I could say that about Cash. Cash, and the reason why I believe Tampa lost in the World Series was because Cash decided to take out arguably their best pitcher when he was dominating. So it didn't make any sense. So the manager of the year, well, everybody keeps talking about Kevin Cash, who everybody says, quote unquote, is one of the top 3 managers in baseball, cost the Tampa Bay Rays a chance to winning a championship and their first championship. So again, you can say that about all good managers. You're going to make mistakes. It's how you come back.
A lot of Yankee fans don't think Boone's a good manager. So.
Well, if Boone doesn't win a World Series or get the Yankees in the World Series next year, Boone will be fired. I do believe that. If Boone doesn't get the Yankees in the World Series next year, they don't have to win. If they get into the World Series next year, Boone will keep his job. If Boone doesn't get to the World Series next year, I believe the Yankees will fire him.
So, but he doesn't have to win the World Series. Just get to the World Series.
They got to get the World Series. They have to. They just paid Cole, who was dominant in the playoffs. Cole was he was worth every penny the Yankees gave him. He really was. Yep. I mean, you cannot blame Garrett Cole on why they didn't get to the American League Championship and go to the World Series. That was strictly Aaron Boone's just managing in the game that they should have kept Garcia in the game. That cost them the series. All it takes is one mistake, guys. In any sport, it takes one game, one mistake. Once you lose that game, momentum goes to the other team, and that's what cost the Yankees. It was momentum. The Yankees are a much better team than the Tampa Bay Rays. They have much, much, much more talent than the Tampa Bay Rays. I mean, it's not even close. It is not even close.
The American League.
No, I mean, the Yankees going into the season, the Yankees were the best team. After the World Series, who Sports Illustrated put up the betting line over there in Vegas. Right after the World Series, the Yankees are expected to win a World Series again this year. Even with the offseason, they're still picking the Yankees to go win the World Series. So they're the favorites of winning the World Series next year. So they have a tremendous amount of talent. It's just getting over the hump and getting timely hitting. And they have to bring DJ LeMahieu back. They have to. Absolutely have to. That is the most important move.
What do they do with Sanchez?
They're going to trade him.
Too, right?
They're going to trade him. I know they arbitrated him. They got Sanchez for $8 million for arbitrating Sanchez and getting one of the best catches in baseball, offensive catches in baseball for $8 million. That's a steal. Okay.
Well, here's another. I mean, I would take him on the Mets because they're catching.
I think the Yankees, if they can get Yadier Molina on the team, and I think they could on a cheap. I think the Yankees will trade Gary Sanchez because you don't need offense from the catching position. If Molina can give you 10 home runs and give you a 270, 260 batting average or 250 batting average, and he's a lights out catcher for the pitching staff, the Yankees will live with his bat. They will live with his bat, especially with Giancarlo and all the players they have in the field that can hit the ball. I mean, that's
another player I would take on my team.
Who?
Sanchez.
Sanchez is not going to the Mets. The Yankees will not trade him to the Mets. They will not do that.
I'm just saying I would take.
They could get him in free agency when he becomes a free agent. I mean, I think that's next year. After next year, he becomes a free agent. This is his arbitration year.
The Mets don't have a catcher either. They have no catcher.
Well,
I'm not saying Sanchez is that good, but he's better than what they have.
The rumors right now, Beaver, they're interested in James McCann.
Mm-hmm. James McCann's a good guy, good defensive player. He can hit for average. I mean, he's not a power hitter, but he's a guy that can hit. I mean, Sanchez is a power hitter. Him and JT Realmuto are the only catching power hitters in baseball.
They hit a home run or they strike out.
Oh,
they do.
Not JT Realmuto. He hits for average. He doesn't strike out a lot at all. He's almost a 300 catcher. I mean, how many catchers hit 300? I mean, he hits 300 consistently almost, and he steals bases. He hits for power. He's a great catcher. I mean, he's as 5-star as you can get him at the position. I mean, he's as good as anybody, and he's the best catcher in baseball. And I know the one guy, Josh, over there, who thinks that I don't want JT Realmuto. I would go after Springer and JT Realmuto, and you guys are set. I mean, you got your catcher and you got your center fielder. You get the best catcher in baseball and you get the second best center fielder in baseball. You're ready to go. You got two people in your lineup that can hit for average, hit for power, and then you have all the other guys, Alonso, and right now, if you look at
he had a down year.
He'll hit 30 home runs a season. He's not a 50 home run hitter. I don't know. No. The balls were juiced. How many times does anybody have to know that? The balls were juiced. They were juiced. And there are facts that the players, even they said it. They said it in the playoffs that the balls were completely different in the playoffs than they were in the regular season. So and it was less home runs hit in the playoffs. You wonder why. And yes, better pitching, but
there's always less home runs in playoffs.
Yeah, but there was a significant turn of home runs. Even the pitchers said the ball was easier to grip in the playoffs. So I think it had a lot to do with it. Trust me. But nevertheless, he's not going to hit 50 home runs a season. He's not that type of player.
No,
he's not a Giancarlo. He's not a power hitter like that. I mean, if Giancarlo plays 160 games, he's hitting 40 or more home runs. Easy. Hands down.
Saying Alonso will still hit 35 home runs probably.
I think he's a 30, 35 home run hitter. That's what I think he is.
And that's still a power hitter, though.
No, I didn't say that he isn't. I think Pete Alonso is a great power hitter. I just think he's not in those areas where you can say, hey, if Aaron Judge played 160 games, Aaron Judge is going to hit 50 home runs. He is. I mean, if he plays 160 games. Pete Alonso, he's not that type of player. I think Pete Alonso, he's going to become more of an average hitter. You know what I mean by that? He's going to.
And there's nothing wrong with that. That's a good ball player.
No, absolutely. I'm going to try to get Mark on. I'm going to try to swing him.
Also a great guy with on-base percentage too, Beeve. That was something he really grew in despite not having as big of a power year. And you saw in the second half of last year, even 2019 too, remember where he had that kind of home run drought right after the All-Star break. People thought the home run derby jinxed his swing and all that stuff.
Did you send Mark
better on base?
Did you send Mark the Zoom?
Yeah. Yes, I did.
All right. So text Mark and tell Mark to join us on the Zoom. You know, we can't get him on the phone. We have the Beav on the phone. So
I can get off. He can go on the phone.
No. It's fine, Beav. You're on. We'll get Mark on that way. He can come on with the feed. I mean, it's right to him. So anyways, so Beav, that's what I think what the Yankees are going to do. That's where I think the Yankees are going to go.
Yeah, possibly. I mean, they could.
So
interesting. I'm just waiting for a big move. Usually it happens.
No, it's going to happen this week. It's winter meetings.
Usually it happens right before Christmas or around.
It's going to happen at winter meetings. I don't be surprised by Sunday or Monday. You're going to find out where I think George Springer will be the first person off the board. Once George Springer comes off the board, that's when you're going to see everything start to tally. You're going to start seeing people drop. Springer will be the first person off the board. There are about 4 teams heavily interested in George Springer. Not just the Yankees. I heard the Cardinals are interested in Springer. I heard the Cardinals are interested in Springer. I heard Houston's still interested in him. I don't know if he's going to go back to Houston because I don't think they're going to have enough money to pay him. And I think the Mets and I think the Red Sox, they're another team. Don't be surprised if the Red Sox make a move for Springer too. They got the money too, and I think Cohen has the most money. I think Cohen has a number where he thinks he's worth, and if he goes over the number, he will not bring him in. I think Cohen's that kind. He's an analytic guy, and he wants to. It's all about understanding how money moves and what makes more sense for money. He's going to open up his pockets more than the Wilpons are, but he's going to look at it as a benefit on growth and revenue too. So I think he'll offer him a certain amount of money. If it's the highest that he gets, he's going to go there. Whoever is the highest bidder is going to go. Is going to get George Springer. And I think George Springer has a very good chance of being a Met. I would say there's about a 70% chance George Springer is a Met. So
that would be nice if they do something like that. So.
They're going to get him. I think Cohen is willing to spend $30 million on him. I don't know if a lot of teams are willing to do that. I don't know if the Blue Jays are going to do that because they're going to have to pay their young guys very soon.
Like you said, the Cano thing was the best thing that happened to the Mets. So.
Yes, because I do believe that $20 million that they're not going to spend, they're going to be able to use it in different ways to benefit them.
Yep.
I think, and that's why Tanaka makes sense. Take that money that you would be giving to Robinson Cano and pay Tanaka with it.
And then I would put Bats in the bullpen.
You know, or you put Michael Wacha. You put Michael Wacha in the bullpen, and you put Tanaka there. So you could do a lot of things.
The Mets should never got rid of Zach Wheeler. That was a huge mistake.
It was, and Zach Wheeler did look good with Philadelphia. He did. He looked good.
He did, and that was a huge mistake. And I said it from the beginning, that was a dumb move. I said
this, and I'll say it again. Zach Wheeler, he is the most talented pitcher out of all the pitchers, even DeGrom. He had more.
You always been saying that.
Yes, but
better than Wheeler.
I know. I'm not saying DeGrom isn't better than Wheeler. I said
talented. I know.
I think he has more talent. He's got more pitches than Zach than Jacob DeGrom, and I think that's what makes him very interesting. That's what makes him a good fit, and why he should have stayed with the Mets. And yes, I think they're going to regret it because I think. Eventually they're going to see Philadelphia in the playoffs, and they're going to have to face Zach Wheeler. And Zach Wheeler, he's going to look at it as disrespectful. And if Cohen was still in position, I think Zach Wheeler would still be a Met. I really do believe that.
100%.
Yeah.
We had stupid management. We had stupid owners and stupid management.
No, if Noah comes back and he's strong, he's going to re-sign Noah. He will play Noah.
I know he will, but we have to see what he looks like because I just don't know what he's going to look like after this injury.
So, Speedy, what's going on with Mark? Is he coming on?
He said that he can't get on the Zoom because he's driving. So,
all right. So, Mike, we're going to let you go, bud.
That's fine. You got it. No problem.
Thank you for joining us, bud. Great. By the way, Dallas sucks. Thanks.
Now Dallas can get a good draft pick. So.
Oh, you're absolutely right. The Dallas sucks, and the Jets are horrendous. So there you go.
No, there's no word for the Jets right now.
They're horrendous. I just gave you the worst possible word that you can give the Jets. Horrendous.
I think they're worse than that word. I'll come up with a new word for them.
I think horrendous is as bad as it gets. It's worse than terrible. That's worse than terrible. It's horrendous. So you're absolutely
right. Guys, have a good one.
Later, bro. Get Mark to call the show. I want to go quickly into the NFL games this week. The game that really stood out to me was the Patriots game. It really did because you say whatever you want, and I don't think the Patriots are making the playoffs. And the Cardinals the last 2 weeks have been horrendous. They have not looked good, and I can't blame Kyler Murray because it's not Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray has played well. The defense is completely fallen apart in games. The defense gave up in the overtime, which cost them the game. It really did cost them the game. I thought the defense should have played harder. Should have put more pressure at the line of scrimmage. They did not do that. They played safe. They played prevent defense, and you don't do that in overtime. It's like a playoff game. Yet you're expected to win. I don't know what they were doing. And Bill Belichick, he eats them up alive when you play prevent on Bill Belichick. He throws those light, short passes, uses his running backs, conquers and controls the clock. And the Cardinals, lost the game with 50 seconds left of the game, 40 seconds left of the game in overtime. And the Patriots are still in this, guys. They're still in this. Now, do I think the Patriots are going to make the playoffs? Their division is really tough. It's crazy to say that. The AFC East is really tough. You got Miami right now. They're playing great football. They're 7-4. Miami's got to lose 2 games in a row for them to even come back. And I don't know if Miami's going to do that. They're playing good football. And the Buffalo Bills. I mean, the Buffalo Bills have been sensational, and they're one of the best teams right now in all of football. And I don't know. And it's crazy to say that. I hated when Cynthia Freeland and Dave came on the show and they told me Buffalo, and they were right. Buffalo is. And it's been very, very impressive what Buffalo has done. It really has. You have to give Josh Allen, who has become a world-renowned quarterback, one of the best quarterbacks in football. You could say whatever you want. The last 2 weeks, Josh Allen's been one of the best quarterbacks in the league. And he's showing it. He slowly but surely showing you guys why a lot of people thought he was the best quarterback in that draft class. Anyways, we have Mark Everett on the phone, and he's driving.
How you guys doing? Yeah, I'm doing all right. You know, it's actually snowing down here now.
It's snowing in Alabama?
Really?
It is.
How is it snowing in Alabama?
Freezing. It is.
Anyways, let's.
Down here when.
Yeah.
When it gets icy, it gets really dicey because they don't have any type of equipment to handle any of this stuff.
All right, Mark. So we're going to get you on your segment, and we'll get into what you want to talk about. Hold on one second.
This is Mark It Up.
All right, Mark. Are you ready?
It's time for Crunch Time.
Yeah, it's time for Crunch Time. There we go. I like that. It's time for Crunch Time. What do you think, Speedy? Is it time for Crunch Time or Mark It Up?
Always time for Crunch Time.
It's always time for. Well, we're definitely in the crunch right now with good old Mark Kelly. Are you ready, Mark?
I'm ready again.
Oh, taking shots.
How was your Thanksgiving?
My Thanksgiving was all right, man. It was all right. A little bit of fighting with the family. I mean, my brother and sister got into a pretty deep, interesting fight when they were here. But all in all, it was all right. Nothing.
But enjoyable, Mark. Thanks for that. I'm still with my family now, and definitely very enjoyable, even though it was a little different. I hope yours was very good too, Mark.
I don't think he hears you, Speedy, because he's on this line. Anyways, Speedy says his Thanksgiving was great with his family. Anyways, are you ready?
Okay, good. Anyway,
here we go.
So did you guys see the article I wrote about the SEC and ACC championship game? That's going to be obviously it's on December 19th, on the same day. And right now, the playoff brackets or the playoff standings at college football, it should really be the top 4: Alabama, Florida, Clemson, and Notre Dame, which means essentially on December 19th, you'll have a playoff before the playoff because those 4 teams will be playing each other. And for those of you who are hoping that the 4 best teams will play, they actually will play. And in essence, one of them will be knocked out from each conference. Now, the worst case scenario would be for the college football playoffs, and this is why it's probably best to stand to 8 teams for this one year. Because if Florida and Florida and Clemson win, then you would have Clemson with 1 loss, Notre Dame with 1 loss, Florida with 1 loss, Alabama with 1 loss, Texas A&M with 1 loss, and then who do you take? Because each team would have an advantage over the other. Alabama would have the advantage over Texas A&M, Texas A&M would have the advantage over Florida, and Florida would have the advantage over Alabama. So it would be an absolute nightmare to try and decipher that. Plus, you would have the Big Ten complaining about Ohio State, even though they're only going to play at most 8 games. And you'd have Cincinnati probably undefeated, and the AAC or whatever conference that they play, the AAC, probably they can play too.
And Mark, who's going to make it to that Final Four. Clemson, Alabama. Clemson is going to beat Notre Dame in the ACC championship. They absolutely are. I absolutely believe that.
And Notre Dame would, in essence, don't you think that if Clemson beats Notre Dame, that creates a heck of a scenario because Notre Dame you can make an argument Notre Dame deserves to be in the playoff if all they did was lose to Clemson, when the other teams they're competing against also have one loss.
No, I think if Notre Dame loses against Clemson and they only have one loss, I still think Notre Dame will make the playoff. I do. I think, first of all, they'll put fannies in the seats because it's Notre Dame. They have a huge fan base around the world. They're like college football. They're like the Cowboys of college football. Yeah, they're like the Yankees of college. So if Notre Dame makes it to the Final Four, you know how many fans that would draw to watch it on TV? It would be huge. So if Notre Dame has one loss and they lose the ACC championship, Notre Dame will still make it. Georgia has 2 losses. So Georgia's not making it.
Georgia's, they're not making it all unless other teams come back. But
and they have the most talented, in my eyes, they have the most, besides Clemson, they have the most talented team in the nation. And the fact that they have 2 losses –
Well, no, Clemson doesn't have. Clemson only has 1 loss.
No, I'm saying that. I'm saying that Clemson has the most talent in the nation, but behind Clemson, Georgia would be the second most talented team in the nation, and they have 2 losses. No, I think they do. I think they have more. They have more first round draft picks than Alabama does this year.
They're not better than Alabama. They're not even close to better than Alabama, and they're not better than Florida either. I mean, Florida they lost to both teams pretty handily. So you can't say. I mean, it took a while for people to figure out their quarterback problem. If they would have had JT Daniels early in the year, they probably would have fared better. But they went up against Alabama with Stetson Bennett, they were Florida, and they just couldn't put up the type of points that Florida and Alabama can. Because those are real 2 unbelievably well offenses that just can put up points so easily. And
also, Daniels had only the 1 game so far, so you're judging that as being a savior.
They might be able to now, but it's too late. They've already lost 2 games, and they're not even making the championship game. Where when you look at Texas A&M, their argument is that they only lost to Alabama, and they get an advantage because they don't have to play in the SEC championship game. But the other thing is can they make it to 10 games? The SEC is going to have to schedule them opposite the SEC championship game to the 19th. Otherwise, they won't be able to reach 10 games. And if they don't, that's going to weaken their case. So I would, the SEC has already come out and said that they want all teams in their conference to complete a 10-game schedule.
Mm-hmm. Well,
so I think that would be hard to do. Georgia, they're absolutely done. But I think that if they did have a talented team, it's because they couldn't figure out the quarterback problem.
Well, I will say this. It's going to be very interesting for the next 2 or 3 weeks of college football for the national title game. I'd like to see – I would really like to see Clemson and Alabama again. I would love to see it again.
Yeah, that'd be great, right?
It would be back. That would be 3 years in a row. It'd be 3 years in a row to see Alabama and Clemson in the national title game. And this has an opportunity for Trevor Lawrence to walk out to the limelight and show everybody why he's the number 1 draft pick, why he is the best quarterback we've seen since Andrew Luck. That's what we want to see. I want to see Trevor Lawrence in a national title game. That's going to be fun.
I think that most of the nation probably thinks that way. I think Clemson with Trevor Lawrence, clearly they're right up there with Alabama. It's not better than Alabama. And then you have kind of everybody else. I do think Florida, though, can make a case. They beat Alabama. They can compete. And they could score with Clemson, too. So that would be a great matchup as well. But it's going to be interesting to see because if that happens, if Alabama beats Florida and if Clemson beats Notre Dame, obviously Clemson would go. You can make a case for Notre Dame. You could definitely make a case for Alabama, who should be there no matter what, even if they lose to Florida, because how they dominated this year. And then you have, to me, the 4 best teams playing. But you're already getting the 4 best teams playing because they're all playing on December 19th in the ACC championship game and in the SEC championship game, which in essence will eliminate somebody.
Well, I think the 4 teams that you mentioned are probably going to make the playoff. I think Alabama's definitely, Clemson's definitely, Notre Dame will definitely, even with 1 loss, Notre Dame will make it. And I think Florida. Those are the 4 teams that are going to make it. I think Florida could beat any one of those teams. I think Notre Dame, if they play They play Alabama, they'll get eliminated. If they play Clemson again, that's 3 times in a row they play Clemson. I think they'll lose both games. If Trevor Lawrence is playing in the game, I think Clemson wins. I think even though it wasn't the quarterback's fault when they beat Notre Dame, when it went to overtime, it was the defense's fault. It wasn't. The quarterback played well. The quarterback played very well, 365 yards or 355 yards. He played very well. So it wasn't. But Trevor Lawrence puts a different presence on the field. He makes the big plays when he needs to. Even though in the last year in the national title game, Trevor Lawrence did not look good. Okay, and we all know that he did not look good, and that was a huge difference when we saw the big picture of what we saw in his rookie season, his freshman season. So,
well, I think what you said earlier is true. I mean, they played in 2015, they played in 2016, then they played in the national semifinal in 2017. They played in the national championship in 2018 as well. Last year they had a year off because Alabama didn't make the playoff. But this year again, if they play in the championship, that'll be 4 of the last 5 years that they play in the college football playoff. And that, to me, is the elite matchup right now in college football, is Alabama and Clemson. But I will say this, if Florida loses to Alabama, Florida's done, because they'll have 2 losses. So it would have to be somebody else to make up that 4th spot. And that could go to, I don't think Ohio State deserves it, because the Big Ten hasn't played a full schedule. So this year, a full schedule is at least 10 games. And they won't reach that. So I don't think they deserve to be there. You can make the case for Texas A&M if Florida loses that they should be that 4th team.
All right, so let's get off college. What do you think about? I'd like to hear your take. I'm going to lower this. What did you think about the Jets?
I was on.
I saw it. I'm sure people watch Weapons.
And, I don't. I mean, what do you want to say about them? I mean, we talked about the fact that Jim Darnold had a lot of his weapons taken away. But
Is Darnold gone? Darnold gone?
Is he gone? I don't know. I can't say definitely yes. Here's the one thing. Even if they draft Trevor Lawrence, if they don't have a coach in there that knows what he's doing, it's not going to matter. So they got to get, first thing they got to do is fire Gage when the season's over, and then get a really good head coach who can develop a quarterback, whether it's Trevor Lawrence or whether it's Sam Darnold.
I think it makes a lot of, and I will cut in one quick second. If I were the Jets, if you can't get Eric Bieniemy, go after a college coach.
I like him.
If you can't get Eric Bieniemy, if you can't get Bieniemy, which might not happen, he might be interested in the Atlanta job. He might be interested in the Houston job. I don't know. I think the Jets are going to have a lot more opportunity for him to win than both those teams. But I think in the big picture, if you can't get Eric Bieniemy, you go into college and you look for a college coach. Fitzgerald, whoever you want, the Iowa State guy. You want to bring Jim Harbaugh in? You have to interview Jim Harbaugh. You be stupid.
Absolutely.
You be stupid not to interview him. You have to interview him. You have to do your due diligently this year. Because if you think Jim, and Speedy's laughing, but it's true, Jim Harbaugh, he has worked. No, he's just giggling because I've been saying this, and now everybody's starting to talk about Jim Harbaugh being a good fit.
Absolutely, I would love Jim Harbaugh. I would love him to be there.
I think Jim Harbaugh is a perfect fit. You first of all, he worked with Andrew Luck. You bring him in with Trevor Lawrence there, or if he says, you know what, let's not get Trevor Lawrence. I can fix Sam Darnold. I can fix him. I can make him into a star quarterback. I did it with 2 quarterbacks that weren't. I did it with Alex Smith and I did it with Kaepernick. Yep. So I did it with both those guys. I went to an NFC title game with Alex Smith, and then I went to a Super Bowl with. I was one play away from winning a Super Bowl with Colin Kaepernick, and Sam Darnold's better than both of those guys, more talented than both of those guys. So he might say, you know what, I can fix Sam. I don't think we need to move him. I can fix him. I can bring him. I'll come in and I'll change the whole team around, and that's what I think could happen. But all in all, I don't think the Jets are going to allow, or Joe Douglas is stupid enough not to draft a guy that can change your organization for the better for the next 12 or 13 years. And Trevor Lawrence is the most talented quarterback we've seen come out of the draft in a very, very long time. And even though it's the Jets and they're screwed up quarterbacks, I don't think there is any way you can screw up this guy unless he gets hurt. That is the only way this guy won't be successful in the NFL. I think he's 110% the guy that they have to gun for if they have the number one pick. It would be stupid if they don't do that.
Well, would he be successful under Adam Gase?
No. No, but I think he'd be better. I think he'd be better than Sam Darnold is right now. I think he would. I think he'd play better than Sam Darnold. I think because he's more accurate. He wouldn't be throwing the pass to Howard when it's double coverage and a guy running the route. You saw him moving into the route, and he still threw the ball. I mean, he forced the ball in so many different areas. I'm sorry?
I like your idea about Harbaugh. I think that's a guy who has proven that he can rebuild a program. He took it over a 49er team that was absolutely god-awful in 2011, and he turned them into a winner. They got to 3 straight NFC Championship games, including 1 Super Bowl. So I think that's the guy that gets go after. A proven guy who's been successful in pros. Now, I mean, not everybody's good at college. You saw David wasn't a good pro coach, but he's a great college coach. So it matters sometimes what you coach. And I think Harbaugh is definitely better at the pros than he would be at college. He's not a good recruiter. He's not like a great personality. He's kind of a rugged guy. Not everybody likes him. So I think he'd be perfect.
I think he'd be perfect for the Jets. The only thing that I think the press will eat him up alive, and I don't think he's going to like the press here. He's like Adam Gase. He doesn't like to answer questions. But I think it'll be really, really funny when he has to answer and somebody pisses him off and how you will attack that person. I think he'd be really, really funny to watch. He reminds me of Bill Belichick. He doesn't like to talk to the press. He doesn't care for it. I remember when he was coaching and they played the Lions and he got into a fight with what's his name again from the
Jim Caldwell.
Yeah, no, not Caldwell. What was it?
Was it Caldwell? No, it was Schwartz.
Speedy who? Schwartz. Yeah, Schwartz. It was Schwartz.
Yeah.
Jim Schwartz. I like that grit. I think the Jets need a guy that's gritty, mean, is going to get the best out of the players that he has. I think he would fit with Joe Douglas. I really do. I think Jim Harbaugh was the guy that I've been saying for the last couple of months. I haven't been hitting behind it. Now all of a sudden, all these analysts says, "Oh, maybe Jim Harbaugh. Maybe Jim Harbaugh. He's having problems over there in Michigan. He's had one of the best recruiting classes for the last 4 years. They haven't gotten over the hump. They haven't been even in the Final Four. So I think that." Yeah, they've been awful. Maybe he's not a college coach. I think he would. I don't know why he went to college. I think he fits what the NFL, is looking for a coach. I think. Yeah,
100% right.
I think
100% right.
I think he would work better. I think he works with professional quarterbacks. I think the game he was a quarterback and he played in the league for many, many years, and he was a good quarterback in the end. He wasn't one of those guys like Frank Reich who was a backup quarterback for Boomer Esiason. I mean, he never really got to play, or Jason Garrett who never got a chance to play. I mean, you're talking about a guy that was a very good quarterback, that was an 8-year starter, he was a Pro Bowl player for 2 seasons. I mean, this guy was a good quarterback. So, so I think Jim Harbaugh would be a perfect fit for the Jets. I just don't know if the Jets are going to do it. I think Joe Douglas is going to bring in a guy like the Iowa State guy or Fitzgerald from Northwestern. He's going to bring in a guy that is not the brightest. He's not the brightest shining star out there. But I look what Joe Judge is doing with the Giants. I mean, look what he's doing. I never would have thought.
I mean, it's 4-7.
Yeah, but look at what they've done. Look at the transition of what the Giants are doing in the last 4 games. I mean, their defense.
They're better now.
Their defense is ranked in the top 5 in every defensive statistic in the last 4 games. I mean, they're getting to the quarterback at will. I mean, their defensive coordinator is going to be interviewing jobs too. I think watching what the Giants have done defensively, why wouldn't you interview the defensive coordinator for the Giants? You absolutely have to.
Yeah, no, yeah, definitely better. I think they should win the division. They're probably the best team in that division, the very least division though this year.
Doesn't matter. All you got to do is get into the game. If you get into the game, you've seen teams go. The Giants being one of them. The Giants going in.
Right.
They won 9 games. All the Giant fans, and they had no reason to be there. And I remember in 2007 when they beat the Jets. And they beat the Jets. Victor Cruz had that unbelievable run. I was at the game, and then after that game with the Jets, they got into the playoffs and they surprised the world.
Yep. They're the only team that was outscored during the regular season to win the Super Bowl. But like Bruce Conklin said when the Jets made the playoffs as an 8-8 team in 1991, we might be the ugliest girl at the dance, so we're going.
That's it. It's all about making it's all about making the game and then worry about who you're playing. Because that defense, if they're playing at the top of the game and they're running the ball with that offensive line like they have been, they control the clock, which you need to do in the playoffs, aka Tennessee, 85 yards, the most yards he threw in all the games, all the way to the AFC title game, Ryan Tannehill, and they almost were in the Super Bowl because of defense and because of the running game. If the Giants can control the run, even with Gallman, the way Gallman has played the last couple of weeks, he's been unbelievable. Goldman is averaging 80-something yards a game for the Giants when there's no Saquon. It's sensational. And if they can get anything out of Evan Ingram and Sterling Shepard and Golden Tate, don't be surprised. And Daniel Jones is just like Eli Manning. To go into the playoffs, and everybody thinks they're a joke, and then they go all the way through with the playoffs. It'll be hard. I think this is first of all, the AFC is going – this is the first time I'm going to say this. It will be harder to get through from the AFC to the NFC this year. I think there are more talented teams in the AFC than there are in the NFC. How crazy is that? Tennessee,
yeah, you're right.
Pittsburgh. I mean, go through that. The Chiefs, Buffalo. I mean, you're talking about the best teams in football coming from the AFC. All of them. Go look at it. Mm-hmm. Buffalo. I mean, they're who's better than the AFC? Right? The NFC is not better than the AFC. I'm sorry, they're not.
No.
I'm sorry, Speedy. What did you say, Speedy?
I said probably only the Saints are definitively better than those teams.
Yeah, the Saints. Yeah, I don't even think the Saints are better than those teams because they don't have Drew Brees, and you don't know what Drew Brees is coming back as. So honestly, I think the four best teams going to the playoffs, the four teams that have two-way football, that play two-way football. The Buffalo Bills, they play two-way football. Tennessee Titans play two-way football. They're getting better defensively so far. I think the Rams have really starting to stick out to me like a sore thumb. They've looked better.
Yeah.
I think they've looked really, really good.
But they lost yesterday. They lost to the Niners, though.
That's fine. You're not going to win. Listen, you're not going to win every game. I still think if I were to bet a team to come out of the, besides the Saints to come out of the NFC, it's the Rams. I mean, the Rams have the most depth in their offense and their defense. So I'm going with Aaron Donald and what he does and what kind of crap he causes at the line of scrimmage. So I'm going with the team that has a better defense. Now, the Rams don't run the ball very well. That will cost them in the playoffs if they can't run the ball because you got to run the clock out. That is the only advantage to some of these teams. But Seattle hasn't run the ball very well this year. Arizona is the only team in the NFC so far that really stood out to me besides the Saints that can run the ball. That's it. So.
And they've fallen apart.
And the Giants. They're running the ball. All their offense is coming from their running game, really.
Everybody forgets about Pittsburgh, and they're undefeated. And I don't think they're better than Kansas City, but that's you're right. It could be a great playoff.
The AFC is going to be fun, and the wild card teams, whoever sneaks in. These wild card teams are going to be really, really good in the AFC too. Baltimore. They're coming in as a wild card team. If they get 100% healthy, they're going to be scary because they have the most talent in the AFC. They have the most talent. When they're healthy, the most all-around talent in the AFC. So if they squeak in and they get in as a wild card, I would not want to play Buffalo in the first round. I mean, not Buffalo, Baltimore in the first round. I would not. They're not winning the division now because you're seeing what Pittsburgh is doing. So they're a wild card team.
Yeah.
So.
And also, it matters too, though, because they have something to prove from last year and the year before. Lamar Jackson, and that's good enough. Sometimes, I remember Pittsburgh in 2005 after they lost the AFC Championship game in 2004 when they were 15-1. They went in as a 6-seed wild card and made it to the Super Bowl and won the Super Bowl under Bill Cowher. Same thing with the Broncos in '97. They were a wild card seed. Yeah. And they won the Super Bowl.
Well, it's going to be.
So it can happen.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting. I think even the wild card teams are better in the AFC. You would have the Indianapolis Colts, who was a very good team. They lost against Tennessee yesterday. They're a very good team, and they have one of, if not the best defense in football. And Baltimore being the other team. You have look at those teams: Baltimore, Indianapolis, the Chiefs, Tennessee, Pittsburgh, Buffalo. I mean, they're stacked. The AFC. When have we said that the AFC is stacked? I mean, this is a
It's been a long time.
yeah, and you're looking at the AFC East. The AFC East is really really good. I mean, you have the Patriots trying to squeak in there too. I mean, and the only team that stinks is the Jets. Man.
Yeah, no. Well, some things never change. You know?
Oh man,
some things never change.
only the team,
But
the only
thanks,
team
brother.
that stinks in that division. Who would have figured?
Thank you, brother. I appreciate it.
You're welcome,
And
man.
I'll talk to you next week. All right.
Absolutely. Mark, Kelly, Everett, mark it up. Great guy, great insights. Before we go, I just want to say one thing. Obi Toppin, okay? And I said this in the beginning, and I'll say it again. Obi Toppin has been practicing. Guys, go check out the YouTube coverage, the videos that he has been posting, the dunks, the shooting ability that this guy has. If this guy keeps practicing and he's working out right now before the OTAs even start or whatever, there's no preseason this year, but practices start. They're already training together, him and Powell. That kid looks really good. He looks really good. He can shoot threes. He has a good jump shot. He's got a good release point. He's Amari Stoudemire-esque, just a better. I think he's just a better player than Amari Stoudemire. Not as big. Amari was a 6'10", 6'11" guy. He's 6'8", 6'9", but his game is like Amari Stoudemire. And I'll tell you this right now, his game is very alike to Amari. I just think he's going to be a better shooter, a better three-point shooter.
Yeah. I think he could be better. He's probably a better passer than when Amari was a young player too.
Yes, I think the kid's going to be a star. I think the Knicks got it right with him. I really do. I think this is a good move by the Knicks. I think Obi Toppin's going to really brighten up the city lights, and I think he's going to be a fun player to watch. As long as he stays healthy and those knees hold up, the way he plays his game, that's what scares you, the jumping ability. Jumping a lot, it puts a lot of pressure on his knees. That's what scares me. But besides that, I mean, who doesn't think that Obi Toppin is going to be a good player in the league? I think he will be. I really do. I wouldn't be surprised if he wins Rookie of the Year, too. I wouldn't be surprised because I think the Knicks are going to play him a lot. I think they're going to find a way to trade Randall before the season. I really do believe that. But and by the way, I didn't say this. The Knicks are gunning heavily after John Wall. I've been reading some stories, even more stories than the Weekend from the Weekend Crunch. They are absolutely trying to get John Wall, and I'm not surprised, being that they have the assistant coach from Kentucky. This is the Kentucky Knicks. I mean, they're all Kentucky players. And they brought Michael Kidd-Gilchrist in over the weekend, defensive player that he fits perfect. He fits like a glove for Thibodeau, a wing defender that the Knicks have been looking for years. I think he's going to be a good fit. I think he's going to be a good fit. He doesn't have any offensive game, but I think he fits very well for the wing defender that the Knicks are looking for. I think he's going to make Kevin Knox better because he's kind of the same player as Kevin Knox. He really is. I don't think Kevin Knox has an offensive game. I think he has the athletic ability to be defensively. And if the Knicks can turn these guys into defensive pro guys, the Knicks could be a very dangerous team because you do not want to play a defensive-minded team that has players that can put the ball in the net. And they do have guys that could do that. So John Wall would open up the court for a lot of these players. So it's a very interesting story. I'm kind of trying to stay calm and collective with this because I don't know if it's going to happen, but I wouldn't be surprised if Rose before the next 2 weeks land a big time point guard. I think they will get one. I don't know who it's going to be. I don't think they plan that Ntilikina and what's his name again, who they just brought back in for a year. You know what I'm talking about? The kid that really was I forget his name. I've got his name. What happened?
Dennis Smith Jr. you're talking about?
No, not Dennis Smith Jr., the other guy. The other point guard.
Trier.
What happened?
Alonzo Trier.
Alonzo Trier, no. They brought somebody else. I forget his name. With an E at the last name. I think his E starts with the last name. I forget his name. I'll remember after the show. But
Alfred Payton.
Yes, that Payton. That's who they brought back. So Payton is the guy that they're planning to be the starter. I do believe that they have something up their sleeve. I think they can move Payton and Randall and maybe a second round pick to get John Wall in there, or maybe a Knox and somebody like that. But I think they keep Ntilikina. I think it would be smart keeping Ntilikina because I think out of all their young players or young point guards, I think because he's so young, he still can develop his game into. I think he's an elite defender. If he could develop his offensive game a little bit, I think Ntilikina could be really good. So
prioritizing perimeter defenders. That's what wins in today's game.
Yeah, and he's good. He's as good as they are when it comes to defending perimeters, defending a perimeter defender. So I'm very intrigued. Anyways, that's it for our show, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be back Wednesday. Speedy will be in the studio, so don't worry about that. Thank you to Mark. Thank you to the Beeve. Thank you to Loyal Crawford for joining us. We really appreciate the great insight with sports and what his career is going to be in the NCAA college football with the Badgers. Anyways, that's it for our show, ladies and gentlemen. Shout out to good old Josh for giving me a headache about the Badgers. But until Wednesday, me and Speedy will be back. So until then, this is Darryl Marks and Speedy Petey saying good night. We'll talk to you then. Good night.
You're listening to the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.